In his first budget of financial year 2023-2024, President William Ruto is now facing it head-on on how to close the 720 billion deficit. Data from the Ministry of Treasury shows he has a tiny window of borrowing 600 billion Kenya shillings before hitting the debt ceiling set by Parliament. The National Treasury now plans to borrow 720 billion to close the fiscal deficit, adding to the 9.4 trillion debt owed domestically and internationally.
Debt is not bad. We are not hitting that. It helps us. It supplements our domestic resources. We can only manage to roll out big highways like the one we have done, even the dams that we are proposing and water management systems, even the railway lines. We can only do that if we get long-term debt.
The National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Njuguna Ndung'u has today presented a proposal to scrap off the 10 trillion debt ceiling and replace it with a 55% debt limit of the gross domestic product.
We want to ask this for you to support us, the parliamentary committees to support us, when it comes to replacing the current debt ceiling of 10 trillion with a debt limit of 55% of the gross domestic product.
Why didn't you put it or propose 50% so that then we leave that operating region of plus or minus 5 so that at any one time it brings us or limits us at 55%?
Analytical work that has been done has shown that that is the debt carrying capacity.
The members of the three National Assembly committees, namely Budget, Finance and Privatization, grilled the CS on the new proposed policy and how sustainable it would be. At the same time, the promise by President William Ruto to cut down on borrowing was questioned in his contrary move.
Why do you want to still increase our debt level? Yet, it is as if you are contradicting your boss who said, we're not going to borrow.
Where we are, we cannot allow a situation where we are going to continue to borrow. If your projections on revenues here, which is unrealistic, is not going to be met, then you must cut your coat according to our size.
The whole idea of debt is actually to close the gap in terms of our capital accumulation so that we can invest in projects that we desire.
Every time there's been a proposal to change the ceiling from either numerical to a percentage of GDP, there has been, the intention behind it has been that the government wants to borrow more.
When we say 10 trillion, in terms of dollars, can we define it today and tomorrow?
Concerns around Parliament approving debts before they are borrowed were also raised. The CS was also tasked to explain on how the ministry was planning to stabilize the shilling to avert paying more for loans due to collapse of the shilling against the dollar.
But here you propose that in case of breach, then you will write to Parliament. Then what is the point of writing to tell us, oh, we breached the debt anchor because of reason A, B, when you have already done that?
That policy is to tie the government's hand in terms of how we manage the public debt. It is actually not allowing us to manipulate. It's not allowing us a free way. No, we do have no free hand.
What can you say about the deposits limit and withdrawals limits, where you have put a maximum of 1 million? If you deposit beyond that, you are questioned.
When things are not working very well, we tend to come up with brutal measures. But when things are working, we forget. But right now, we need to see, we want to improve our AML CFT regime. Okay, that's one side. But we also want to support domestic transactions and domestic management, resource management.
The National Treasury is now warning that the country is headed for financial crisis unless Parliament accedes to its request to raise the debt ceiling beyond the 10 trillion limit. Joel Chacha, K24 TV, Nairobi.